up in episode 71, air date January 5th, 2017.
I think the only thing that for me that honestly that comes to mind is like traveling, and when I say traveling, I mean like traveling like or internationally, because I've always wanted to go. And the thing is, like, I don't want to go to like my interest is not going to like the tourist places. Like, my interest is more going to like, you know, I would like to go to Africa and spend like a month there. I'd like to go to like India and spend like a month there. I'd like to go to like just different like more like the I don't know, I don't want to say like underdeveloped, but I guess more like the countries
the
that
lower
are,
traffic places.
Yeah, like the lower traffic places.
You don't want to
like,
go to the tourist traps.
No, I don't want to go to the tourist traps.
Thank you for joining us for the very first episode of the Little Radio Show for 2017. I'm your show host, Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan, Alanis, and Anjelica Cazares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week, we take a little bit of a deviation and talk about our bucket list. Or rather, I make Juan and Anjelica talk about bucket lists, since I'm the one who pulled them into the conversation. What is it that's on your bucket list? Have you ever thought about it? And if not, what would you include if you started to write one? Also, we talk a little bit about the fact that tomorrow is Dia de los Reyes Magos, which is the Three Wise Men Day. What does that mean to us? What are some of the cultural differences that we have between us, and how do we celebrate? Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittleradioshow.com. And as always, all the inspiration for today's content came in from HispanicHouston.com and JuanOfWords.com. Welcome to the very first episode of 2017 of The Little Radio Show. I hope all of you had a wonderful New Year's.
2017, wow, like that's a whole new year.
I'm not ready.
Can I? We're 5 days in. I don't think that the 2017 cares if we're ready.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know. Let's see how that goes.
But it's January the 5th today, and we are 5 days into the new year. And so I'm not even going to bother talking about resolutions and, what did you decide to do and what did you not decide to do. That ship has sailed. Either you have resolutions and plans for the year or you don't. But what I do want to talk about a little bit is I just resaw for like the 100th time this wonderful movie with Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson called The Bucket List.
Oh, and I haven't seen that one yet. No, I haven't
Juan,
seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either. I'm guilty also.
That's so wrong.
I wanted to see it.
It's such a great movie. And Jack Nicholson pretty much just plays the same character over and over again. And sometimes it's better than in others. And so there's this movie that he did with Diane Keaton where he's just obnoxious and I don't understand why people like him in it. And then there's one that he did with Helen Hunt a few years ago where
he's always kind of like grumpy, right?
Yes, he is always, it's more like they write the movie for Jack Nicholson instead of they cast Jack Nicholson in the movie. And so this one is no different. Jack Nicholson basically plays Jack Nicholson with another name. And then there's Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman is of course one of my favorite actors. He's very warm, he's very versatile, he's very likable.
He's done so many movies, yeah.
And he has done so very many movies, and and he's one of those actors that like it seems like the older he gets, the more active he's become. And so the fact that like my nephew knows who he is because he's the guy from Batman and that invents all the stuff.
Now that you say that, Edgar's always like, oh yeah, Morgan Freeman, and I'm like, how do you know Morgan Freeman?
He's in Batman. Hello, why would he not know who Morgan Freeman is?
But he's like always talking about him. I'm like, okay.
So lost.
The bucket list.
Okay, go ahead. I was lost for a second. I was like, what did he play on Batman?
Well, he's the guy who runs the company that invents all the cool gadgets for him.
Yeah, it's over my head. Now I gotta go look for the bucket list. Okay. Batman.
Now,
I'm starting
if
that.
You're thinking about Ben Affleck's Batman, then we can't talk.
No, I don't.
This is the Christian
exactly. No, I
yes.
agree. Ben Affleck as Batman is not a good one.
But this movie is The Bucket List, and basically, I'm sorry for those of you who don't know what it's about. It's not like it's that big a surprise. Is Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman meet in the hospital. Both of them are dying of cancer. And they both have terminal a terminal diagnosis. There's really nothing no one can do for them. Jack Nicholson is this rich guy who, has had 3 wives, doesn't talk to his daughter. All he does is work. This is it. He's just this very dedicated. He's got nothing else going for him. Morgan Freeman is a man who has, married his high school sweetheart and worked as a mechanic and, managed to put all his kids through college. His wife's a nurse and, a very nice, very traditional kind of more lower key lifestyle.
Okay.
And they end up being roommates.
Okay.
They
in
end
the
up
hospital
being
or
roommates
something?
in the hospital.
Yeah.
And after they both get this diagnosis, Morgan Freeman writes out a bucket list. And basically it's just an exercise for him in saying, oh, wow, these are the things that I had written down, things that he had written a long, long time ago about things he wanted to achieve before he died. And he was revisiting the list.
Okay.
And Jack Nicholson, who has all the money in the world, is all like, you know what? Let's go do this. Let's go and do all of these items.
So he's funding it.
Yes. And so let's go do all of these items. And so the two of them go out and they do stuff like, they go skydiving, they do NASCAR driving, they go out and they try and climb a mountain. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. But the intent is they develop this very close relationship and they each discover something about themselves through this thing. And of course there's no miracle at the end. They both die. That's the point of the movie.
Yeah, they both end up passing away anyway.
They both pass away. So, okay, I've gone through all of that to talk about the fact that I have in fact been thinking about bucket list, but not because I'm going to die. We're all going to die. We're all going to die at some point. I'm not intending to die anytime soon. Thank you very much. However, we spent a lot of episodes recently talking about resolutions and what did we do last year and the fact that, we've all become so busy and so focused on our work that we're really not seeing anything else. And it got me to thinking, what are the things that, like, when I'm 70 or 75 or 80 and I'm looking back and saying, I really expected to do these things and I'm really sorry that I didn't. From the very silly to the very serious.
So what's the silly on your list?
The silly on my list. Okay.
Did you think about your bucket list?
I've been thinking about it.
Did you have a bucket list?
It's not like I've written it down. I've not written it down. But, these are the things that I would like to do.
Okay.
But let's hear the silly, though. I want to hear the silly.
This is silly. I consider it to be silly because it's frivolous, and I'm almost a little embarrassed to denote. Okay. I would like a boob job.
A boob job? A reduction?
A reduction.
Or an increase?
Wow.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if that qualifies as something I'd go on my bucket list or not, but I've been thinking about it. It's been on and off for a couple of years, and I honestly think that I would get that done.
Wow, what an earful for those listeners out there.
Oh, wow.
I'd like to learn to surf.
Okay.
I would like to learn to surf. And I'm not a strong swimmer, but I think that I would enjoy surfing.
Being on the water like
being
that?
on the water like that and going out and doing it. And I'm the person I was the one who went out and did the parasailing when we, did the trips and, go and tried to get on the zip line, which they wouldn't let me on because I'm too fat to go on the zip line, apparently. But stuff like that. But, yeah.
So you would bring out your adventurous side, it sounds like.
I used to be more in touch with it, I think. Yes, I would like to go out and do sailing. I would like to go on a cruise to Alaska. I want to do that train ride that goes from San Francisco all the way up to Seattle, down, all the way up the Pacific coastline.
Okay.
Actually, what I really would like to do is actually circle the entire United States on a train.
Oh, wow.
And
like on Amtrak's?
Yeah.
Ah.
And I'd like to, and you could start from Houston and take to Colorado, and from Colorado to California, and California up, and then to Chicago, and down from Chicago to New Orleans and back to Houston. It would probably take about 6 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because I want to stop in the cities and go out and do stuff.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That would be like, if you were stopping in the cities, that would be cool, because then you could like run or like explore and, be there and experience everything.
The ultimate
yes,
trip. Yeah,
I would love. That's, if I want to do that. That's something that I want to do. I want to own a motorcycle.
Oh,
Own it
wow.
or ride it?
Well, why would I own it if
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. Because you are very specific, Sandra. So I was curious. I was like, she wants to own
She
one?
really knows me.
Yeah.
So
lick
when,
it.
I
so
would
when
like
we
to-
pull up to the parking lot here and we hear the motorcycle coming around the corner, I'm gonna be like a Sandra.
I think, obviously, skydiving is on my list. I would really, really like to go and do that. Stuff like that.
Thrill seekers, thrill adventures. Is that what you're looking for?
I don't know if it's thrill seeking. I never considered doing stuff like that to be thrill seeking. That was just part of my personality, I guess is what you would call it.
So what would it be that of what you think you on your bucket list that would take up more time, or that you thought you would be doing or have done by now?
Well, a great deal of my adult life has actually been dictated by decisions made for the benefit of others. My dad got sick, and, I had to step up. And so the part of the adult life where most people get to just move into an apartment, to this cruddy little apartment in the middle of nowhere, and you have no one to be accountable but for yourself, and etc. I sort of jumped over that part. So I didn't get to take the interesting job that made no money just because it was interesting and offered no benefits. I never had that option. To me, it was more a matter of, and I don't regret any of my decisions.
Right.
However, I do occasionally feel like I missed out on some of the fun stuff.
Well, that's understandable.
And so, but bucket lists. Paris and Australia, and I'd want to go to China and stuff like that. If I made an honest to goodness list, I would end up with like 1,000 things on there.
to do.
But it's interesting to think of like not just what do you want to do? Like the boob job is a want, but what if I'm 70, 75, I'm looking back and going, I really regret not doing that. Is that really going to make the list? And probably not.
What would you say, Juan? Listening to Sandra's list, what would you say?
I think the only thing that for me that honestly that comes to mind is like traveling, and when I say traveling, I mean like traveling like or internationally, because I've always wanted to go. And the thing is, like, I don't want to go to like my interest is not going to like the tourist places. Like my interest is more going to like, I would like to go to Africa and spend like a month there. I'd like to go to like India and spend like a month there. I'd like to go to like just different like more like the I don't know, I don't want to say like underdeveloped, but I guess more like the countries
the
that
lower
are
traffic places.
Yeah, like the lower traffic places.
You don't want to
like,
go to the tourist traps.
No, I don't want to go to the tourist traps. Like, but I kind of like I like when you travel, like when I've traveled a little bit here and there, like I like the feeling of just exploring. Like I really enjoy just exploring, just like walking around and looking at things and, just being in the moment.
But is there something that like off the top of your head, you'd say, 10, 20 years from now, looking back, if I haven't done X, I think I'll really regret it.
I mean, off the top of my head, and I haven't thought about it very much. So,
well, maybe I should have given you advance notice.
But I think that would probably be it. Like, traveling is probably the biggest thing on my list, is to travel and do a lot of things like that, and just to be and to travel comfortably. I think that's the thing. It's like that. Even though I want to go to like places where they're probably not as trafficked, I want to travel well.
There's nothing wrong with that. But that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and I guess the only other thing that I would say that at some point like I do want to do, and I don't know that this really qualifies because it's not very sexy. It's not very like thrill seeking. It's more like working more with like kids. Like I would like to work more with kids.
And that's fine. That's everybody's list is going to be different. Just like everybody's list of, the 100 places I'd like to visit is going to be different.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I just think that maybe, like, at some point, like, I see myself, like, maybe working with kids or doing something more, like it's more, that I guess would be more not for profit.
Okay.
That would be my list. What about you?
Me, I don't, on my bucket list that I absolutely, and I thrive to do this, is I want to go to Canada.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's
great.
I know that one.
Yeah.
I want to go to French Canada.
Yes, that's where I want to go. And all because I want to see if all of that is true, if it's completely true, like all of my freaking theories and everything in my head is all based on stupid documentaries that I spend hours and hours watching, and stupid what is this stupid thing called Houston Access, the Houston Access channel, or like PBS. All like that's it. I didn't grow up on cable, so that's all like my referencing is all of this. So I would like to spend some time up in like Boston and get to know the people there, but in Canada specifically, because supposedly they're supposed to be nicer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they leave their doors unlocked according to everybody, or I don't know. But that's what I want to do. And that's, but, if I would, and I'm thinking about, there was something that I wanted to do, the Siberian train or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It like travels in Russia somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I know this is because a movie I watched, and it was like a death on the train, and it was like a mystery being solved. And I was
now
like,
you want to do it?
Yeah, because it goes through. You ever see
Careful, Juan.
You ever see the Polar Express, the movie?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That same. It looked like the same thing, but it looked like the realistic part of the Polar Express. And so that's the only reason why I want to ride a train in snow. Evidently through some kind of like mountainous, like, Russian hats or wooden shoes. I don't know.
But now I'm thinking,
I want to have dinner at the White House. Like I want to be invited
That
to
is
the
one
White
of my.
House
That is one
for dinner, and I'm not talking about with the current president. I don't go. Honestly, if Donald Trump invites me, I'll go.
Whoa! A lot of mouthful.
I want to be invited to have dinner at the White House and actually get to go.
But like now that I'm thinking,
But I want to sit
on
when Congress is going. I want to sit on it. Like that is part of my bucket list. Like I want to do things that I watched on TV.
Well, one of the things that I did. Well, remember we went to the Library of Congress, and for me, like, I mean, that sounds boring, but for me, I was like, oh my God, this is the Library of Congress. Like, I can't believe that I'm at the Library of Congress. And
that
I was
would
like,
be on my list.
I'm so excited about it. But I think that, like, thinking silly, like, now I'm like, okay, well, let me be honest. So, like, I would like to, like, I think it would be crazy and it would be fun to be like on a reality show competition, like a Food Network competition, or like some kind of silly competition, or like The Amazing Race, or like something where
I could totally see you on The Amazing Race.
Yeah, where you're like doing
pulling
something
hair
just,
for somebody,
like, silly,
yeah.
and it just like brings
Not
out
me.
like it just brings out like your personality, and it just kind of shows you like, what you can put up with or you can't put up with and whatever. And I think it's just fun.
Hey,
so.
I can totally run around behind you, like with videotaping,
Can you imagine
recording
us?
you, and
Can
see
you
how that
imagine the
goes.
two of us on The Amazing Race?
No, it would have to be you and somebody else. Because
see, I would be out in the first episode.
We'd be like, I'm sorry, you can't show.
How about
like,
you
30...
two guys on The Amazing Race?
No.
That would be awesome.
We're too alike.
Exactly.
I would be out in the first episode. I would completely be out, or I would have to sabotage everybody else.
I can imagine y'all, not sabotaging, but I can imagine y'all. Do you see her? Like, I can imagine y'all the way y'all y'all talk, the little bantering y'all do back and forth. But anyways, but a lot of my what do you think has been on your bucket list that you think you've achieved, or that you think you've done, and that you say to yourself, I can't believe I did that.
I don't know, honestly, if there's anything like that was on my bucket list that I've actually achieved, because I just started thinking about this as a bucket list. Like, so for example, I know that I'll regret it if I don't go back and get my master's degree. Because that's been on I need to go back and do it for a while. I always considered that I was going to go back and do it. The thing that I've achieved is the self-employed thing, because that was always...
Oh, really?
Gonna happen. That was always the intent. Well, I was gonna get my degree and go and work for other people for a certain amount of years to get experience, and then go and work for myself. My dad is a small business was a small business owner. I come from a lot of people who are small business owners on that side of the family. To my dad, the idea of working for someone else for the rest of your life sounded like, I don't know, like it just did. It
like
did
punishment.
sound dumb. It sounded dumb to him.
Yeah.
He said you don't actually really make any money.
I would say, like, for me, like, it probably, all my things would probably be travel, like, because I like, and I would say, like, probably one of the things that comes to mind is like the Grand Canyon. Like, for me, that was one of the, like, that was really like a bucket list thing that I wanted to do, that I wanted to see. And when I was there, it just felt really like special. So, like, I think I said that's one of the things that I consider that was on my bucket list.
I just thought about it. What's been on my bucket list? I want to be, you said reality show, and I'm far from that. But I want to be like on a sitcom, or like as an extra.
Like an
as an extra or something. That's what I want to do.
Together, like we did the bucket list when we were actually in a commercial together.
No, but that wasn't. That was
fun.
Like I want actors.
Yeah, not pretend one.
No offense, Juan. You don't qualify as a real actor.
But I want to.
Well, for me, that was like something I never thought I was gonna do. I never it wasn't like on my list of goals or anything. But then when it happened,
and I wanted to be comedy though. I wanted to be like a sitcom, like Angela Johnson like slaps me or something, or like somebody comes and like we're like fake fighting or have like an accent or something, like a comedy, like something where I can just be so playful and so just out there.
I think we're gonna end up having to do our own TV station just so we can create
all of this content
that y'all want to be in. We can come back to this later after we've given this a little bit more thought, but it's a new year, and I'm not talking about specifically for this year, but having looked at 2016, and I did, for the most part, for the most of the year, I focused a lot on trying to build my business to the point where not a lot of fun was had. And while building my business is one of the items that was on my bucket list, things that, if I hadn't done it, I would have regretted not at least trying it.
But now you're ready to have fun.
Well, no. I'm just ready to start looking at some things and seeing what else I wanted to do or wanted to try that maybe 10 years from now, if I look back and I hadn't done it, or 20 years from now, that I'm going to regret.
Yeah, well, I think it's...
And it may not be something for 2017, but so many people, it's like travel, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But for some people, it's having a kid, buying a house, learning a new language, having plastic surgery. I have a friend that's on her list. Losing weight, getting married. It's your list. Mm-hmm. What is it that's on your list that if you look back and you say, okay, I had a great life, but I really regret that. I really regret not doing that. So I'm going to challenge everybody out there to think about that. And if you actually do put a list together, share it with us and we will give some thought to ours. But I think I'm going to put this one aside and start talking about the fact that tomorrow is the 6th of January and it's Dia de los Reyes Magos, which is Three Kings Day. In the U.S., it's not really a big celebration unless you're Hispanic or Catholic.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But a friend of mine last year, not this past holiday, but 2 holidays ago, he and his partner went to Mexico for Christmas. They decided to opt out of the family thing. So they're down in Mexico. I don't remember which part. And they wanted to get reservations for Christmas Day, and they go to the concierge, and they're like, well, I understand everything's going to be closed, but see if you can find us something. And the concierge is looking at them like they're crazy. Because they're like, why would everything be closed? And they're like, what do you mean nothing's closed? It's Christmas. And so it's one of those cultural things that they had to meet in the middle, whereby they finally realized, or somebody explained to them, that the big holiday over the Christmas holiday isn't in fact Christmas. It's January the 6th. When in the part of Mexico that my family is from, they still celebrate Christmas heavily. But the further into Mexico you get, the less that's a reality, Magos. And it's more the Reyes Magos. And I have friends who are from southern Mexico where they give gifts on the 6th and they don't give gifts on the 25th.
Well, my mom used to talk a lot about del Dia de los Reyes Magos, which is Children's Day. I think they refer somewhere else in
Dia de los Niños.
I don't know. But that's the day that she remembers with the whole shoe that you put on by the door or the window or something. And the shoe is supposed to be replaced by a gift, which the Reyes Magos would bring you or something. And that's what my mom remembers.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because it's supposed to be the day that the 3 wise men actually find Jesus and his family and bring the gifts.
Yeah.
So for me, that's like a hazy memory because I don't think... growing up, I don't ever remember celebrating Los Reyes Magos.
Yeah.
But now when you said something about the shoe, then I'm like, wait, I do kind of remember us doing something with the shoe.
Something with the shoe.
But maybe I was too young to remember. But as I got older, like in as a kid, like I don't remember us really celebrating El Dia de los Reyes Magos.
I
And
think-
it was only like until I became like more of a young adult that my sisters and then we started doing the rosca.
Christmas.
Yeah.
The Christmas.
That we actually started buying it.
So La Rosca, for those of you who don't speak Spanish,
yeah.
it's actually king cake. So
Yeah.
I find it funny or find it interesting. King cake is it's a Catholic thing, first of all.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., people know king cake from
Mardi Gras.
From Mardi Gras. So king cake is a thing that you eat on Fat Tuesday, which is the day before Lent starts,
And then Lent leads up to Easter.
and Lent leads up to Easter. But the king
Catholic
cake, you eat
calendar.
it. The king cake, you eat it, and there's a thing in there. And depending on whose tradition you're looking at, you get the little prize, and either that means that you win something, or that means that you're supposed to hold the next celebration once Easter is over. So,
But does the Mardi Gras one have the little thing inside too?
Some of them do.
but some of them do.
Oh,
So
okay.
for Reyes Magos, Dia de los Reyes Magos, in my part of Mexico, they also had the same thing where you would have the king cake, and then there would be the little baby Jesus
little baby
inside,
Jesus, yeah, I
and whoever
remember.
got the baby Jesus had to have like a posada or merienda in a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's but you see how similar that is. So it, very, very Catholic kind of thing. Almost different months, honestly, because usually Mardi Gras is in February, but it's around the same thing. So usually, if you want really good I find it funny, like the bakeries, the Hispanic bakeries in Houston that make king cake for Reyes Magos Day now also make it for Mardi Gras because they found it's the same recipe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the audience,
The same thing.
they have the audience for it, so why
and
not?
So people who are looking for king cake know to look for these Mexican bakeries, these
Yeah.
Hispanic bakeries,
Yeah.
because they will have it.
Yeah.
But see, I've I've gotten the baby Jesus before, but I don't think we've ever actually gone through with hosting the party.
Yeah, they're horrible at this.
wrong.
Yeah, they're horrible. And so the idea is that you're supposed to host the party. You and
Yes.
whoever. There's usually 3 baby Jesus, quote unquote baby Jesus inside the
It's a little. It's
The rosca?
It's a little
Like a
doll.
little-
It's a
yeah.
little doll. Yeah.
plastic doll that they
Yes.
actually cook into it.
Yes.
But you and those other 2 people are supposed to host the party.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't I
haven't
remember we did
hosted?
it once. And we did it with my sister, and we did it, and I cut the piece, and then my sister was like, "So you're gonna throw a party?"
Well, but it also still depends on where you're from and the celebration and what the traditions are. I don't know if they do the rosca in other countries. The 3 of us are, our
Yeah.
background is our families are from Mexico. Do they do it in Puerto Rico? Do they do that in Colombia? Do they
that
do
would
that
be
in Peru?
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be really interesting.
Honestly, don't know. But see, and I'll just add, for me, I think, I feel that I don't have that tradition or that I don't have the background, and I'm I feel like I kind of missed out on something because I
Yeah.
didn't grow up with it, and I'm I know what it is, but I don't. It's kind of like the same thing with Day of the Dead. I know what it is, but we never really celebrated it growing up.
And then the other thing is it may not have been a strong celebration where you're from.
Yeah.
Day of the Dead was not a strong celebration in the part of Mexico where I'm from. We knew what it was and we sort of celebrated, but there wasn't that big festival with the parade and
Yeah.
The way it's done
the
in
way
other
that it's
places,
done
yeah.
in other places. So
Yeah.
it's just all Hispanic is not all Hispanic.
I know, right?
Your tradition and your experience is not the same as mine, is not the same as Angelica's. Our families are from different parts of Mexico. The 3 of us had different upbringings. The fact that I lived in Mexico for part of my childhood, that I was older when that happened, also makes it different
Yeah.
for me. So yeah, it's one of those things. I just want to say, so it's Dia de los Reyes Magos. It's the 3 wise men. It's January the 6th, and for most of us, that means that is the last day of the holiday season. That's it. It's over. It's done. Your lights should be down. Your
Christmas tree should come down now.
Tree should come down.
No more gifts.
And yeah, no more Christmas gift at this point. But enjoy your king cake. And remember, if you get the little baby Jesus, you have to throw a party. And that's this week's show. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at thelittleradioshow.com.